You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here for you, Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
That's the energy we want.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Going for it. This is our 900th episode from quarantine. We hope you have been sticking with us through any audio hiccups or odd presentation from us. If you're a patron, you can watch it on video. You can see how awkward we are screaming into our laptop monitors from home.
That's right. That's right.
Plus a secret Facebook page. Did we welcome our most recent patron?
Not yet.
We didn't. Thank you. Ms. Valerie Lowe is now a patron.
I thought you were going to call her Mrs. Coach Mayor.
Lady Mayor.
Odin doesn't like a lady Coach Mayor.
She's on like the city council of Lower Salem, so she's almost to mayor status.
Close enough. Same prestige.
Right.
I do want some feedback because we're all dying to know. Like, we know she's the patron. We gave her access to the private Facebook page, and we left Jared just out there because he didn't want to spend that $1.
Yeah, I would like to know. I'd like an oral history of this, how this all went down. Like, I would like them each interviewed separately,
Mm-hmm.
where somebody goes back and forth in the conversation. We get each side of each detail of the conversation. That would be riveting.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I don't know. You know, people share their Netflix passwords and stuff like that. So I hope you're not sharing your patron access.
Mm-hmm.
That's cause for dismissal.
We'll still take the $1, but we're going to kick you out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get. There's a dismissal fee.
So yeah, Valerie, MVP from our most recent top toy countdown. We got our top 10. Single-handedly got one of her favorites into the top 10.
Yeah.
From all her great suggestions.
It's impressive.
Recent student of the month, Washington State Community College graduate. So an academic scholar, a pop culture scholar, and now a patron. What more could you want?
That's right. Well, she
All
could have mentioned
downhill
us
from
in
here.
she could have mentioned us in the article that was published in the Merida Times, but
I read
that's
the
okay.
whole thing. I read the whole thing twice, and it wasn't in there either time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to be as cool as Valerie and get mentioned an awkward amount on our podcast by first name, you can patronize us. $1 is the only level we have. You get access to the secret Facebook page where you can vote in polls for things like one job, and you can tell us what kind of anecdotes you want to hear. We release behind the scenes audio. We do a few special recordings just for the patrons. So if you want to join that exclusive club, we would love to have you.
I felt like they've really made out with these video shows because they are the only ones that are seeing this stuff.
You get to watch your light flip on and off.
Exactly. Not everybody gets that.
Yeah, we
You
hope
see me laugh at it and all this stuff while Jordan's trying to talk.
We really hope one of our patrons is a trained electrician who can diagnose the problem going on in Cliff's garage.
I just want to. What I want to know is, Cliff, is your back to the door?
No.
I always wanted to open so bad.
The door is over here.
Oh,
it's right next to me, but it's right over here.
Man,
that would be great. Out there?
That'd be great.
I got my coat on. It's a little chilly. My nose is cold.
Someone like drove in there right now.
Be like that scene in Dave.
Yeah.
I've got my table set up here.
You got your milk table out there? Sweet. Guys, I had to cancel Gen Con.
That's not the kind of anecdote I want to hear.
Oh, I know. I've been like just pretending it wasn't happening. That I wasn't gonna have to cancel it, but
That was a June event.
no, it was in August.
August.
Oh wow.
Right at the beginning of August.
Yeah,
I just couldn't imagine doing it.
Well,
Looking at the pictures of the herds of people, and I was like, I don't think I can do that.
Oh, has it not been canceled completely?
No.
Oh.
No, actually, I was waiting. Usually, in like another week or two, they would release the schedule for you to sign up for events. I was kind of waiting to see what happened if they were actually did that, and then they announced that they were putting it off a little ways. I was like, So I just.
I thought the way I read it was they had canceled the event.
No.
And then refunded your tickets, but you just
No.
you canceled your trip. It's probably still going to happen.
You only had until a certain date to get your money back. So
okay.
I can't imagine it happening though.
It's so funny though. I went to cancel it. I was like, I want a refund, and I knew there would be a fee or something for them having to, if you cancel tickets or whatever. But that's fine. But the guy gave me some options on the email. I could cancel or I could hang in there. But if I hung in there and it got canceled, I didn't get my,
So what's the
my money back. He was very clear.
Tell me on this option, please.
Yeah. He's like, or you could roll it over into next year. It's like, how about I just get my money back and decide next year? I was like, what are you maniacs talking about? Just don't even. They shouldn't have bothered even running back with that dumb answer. Anyway.
Well, I've been waiting to hear on the Mothman Festival, which is in September, and finally got an email from them saying, we are in discussions. We're talking to local and state officials about how to pull this off and to bring 10,000 people into a 2-block radius. And it said, if we have to cancel, so that that's an option, that they would do the same thing. They would either happily refund our money or you could roll it over and keep your table spot for next year. But they said, and so if in case of any fee increases, you will already have paid. It's like, oh, you're threatening to raise the prices next year. But no concrete plan yet for Mothman.
Well, Alicia and I, this is an ongoing debate in our house right now. Like neither of us.
And you can't leave.
Yeah, neither of us will pull the trigger here.
I'm going to the garage.
We
pull the trigger.
We have a trip planned to Walt Disney World at the end of June, the last week of June, for our 20th wedding anniversary.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, it would be nice for you guys to get away and spend some time together.
Yeah.
But
no work.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Take a little vacation. But yeah, neither of us all week we've been taught, like, what are we going to do? Are we going to cancel this? Are we going to move it? Are they even going to be open? And just yesterday, I think Disney canceled everything through June 1st, all the reservations. But they're opening up Disney Springs partially, and they are opening up Shanghai Disney.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, at some capacity, but we're just like, what? We want to go so bad, but it's not looking good. So, we'll see.
Once on a brighter note, much like your light right now, I bought some art.
Oh.
Did you pull the trigger on that?
I did.
Wow.
I left you guys hanging. I didn't. Yeah. Had you ever heard of that guy, or is there like a bazillion image artists?
What was the name again?
Kickley. You don't. I don't know whether this is even a real name. That's his at Kickley or something. Kickliy, and I think he's a French artist, but he obviously. I mean, he can speak both languages, but he obviously is very Americanized. I think English is probably his first language, but he is most of his art centers around what we talk about, like 80s cartoons,
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff. He does a lot of G.I. Joe and Transformers and things like that. And I don't know, I just stumbled on it. In fact, I think it's because I follow a G.I. Joe Twitter account. And they retweeted some of his art. And I just thought something about it, just some certain artists just click with you. And I was like, wow, I really like this art, And I've only been following him a few days, and he posted a picture of Dungeons and Dragons cartoon they painted. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this, And I had to see about buying it.
And he is French, the artist.
I honestly don't know much about him. He does a couple things for Image. He did a French series, something about a mouse, and it has something to do with Monet. So that was very French set. But he does a series or something for Image called Perdy, Perdy, which is about like this Calamity Jane type character, Western woman, rough woman, or whatever. Anyway, all I really know is these little art pieces.
Well, if you remember that car commercial that came out,
yeah, it's not. I mean,
but I mean, like, wasn't that like? Didn't it originate in like Belgium or somewhere?
I have no idea.
Okay,
I think you're right. I know it was foreign.
Yeah, it was a
foreign. You're right. It was foreign.
Yeah, it was a live action version of Dungeons.
That was close to a finale as we got for that series.
Right.
Anyway, I just really fell in love with the picture as far as just as a little I mean, it's not like a super finished piece, I mean, it's kind of a I don't know how you pronounce that. It's a gouache or gouache paint, and I just loved it. It's very cartoony, but
yeah, it's definitely got a lot of stylized. It's not like photorealistic. There's some
right. It's cartoony. So it just hit me, and I was like, anyway, he and I DM'd a little about it, and
slid into his DM.
Yeah, I slid in there. He's he really talks to his fans. I mean, anybody that comments on his stuff, he answers, and a lot of people comment. Very popular in our age group, I would say.
Yeah. So he's got a bunch of G.I. Joe stuff too.
Yeah. So I could see me getting something like that later if he has something that's just right. I'm sure you can commission things also, but I wasn't planning on buying anything.
Could we commission the three of us in like our heads on G.I. Joe costume body, charging across the field with microphones instead of guns?
I would assume that everything has a price.
Whatever hero we want.
Right. Yeah. So
gung ho.
I'll ponder that. But anyway, it's on its way. I'm excited about it. It was.
That's cool.
I think I was like, I need to fill up some walls in here. I was like, whatever it costs, I will love looking at that every day. I know that. So
yeah, I like the samples you showed us. It was really cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get it framed, and I'll post it and I'll let everybody take a look at it.
Cool.
So, well, I know.
Well, otherwise, we've been spending a lot of time on some TV. So, what's been happening on the streams?
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What?
Don't cross the streams.
Islands in the stream, that is what we are.
Cross the streams.
Oh my gosh. We've been watching a lot of Disney Plus last week or so.
Well, it was Star Wars Day, so they dropped a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they really did. May the 4th, of course. The Rise of Skywalker finally debuted on Disney Plus. And then Seth, it's been weeks and weeks. Have you watched season 7 of the Clone Wars yet?
No, we're not allowed to talk about it yet. I'm about halfway through. I'm trying to watch and
Are you
this
on
watch
season?
list.
Are you
I'm
on
on
season?
I just started season 4.
Okay, so you're
So
watching.
I've got 1, 2, 3, but I don't have to watch all of it. There's a certain amount of episodes I have to watch of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it. I'm off the next couple days. I'm gonna get some more episodes.
Yeah, I went back and watched some of the Mando stuff from Clone Wars throughout the.
Yeah, I
seasons.
watched a Mandalorian thing. I got to see the Dark Saber the first time, and I got there was some of that. There was this Satine
Yeah.
character that was used to be Obi-Wan's girlfriend or some stuff.
Yeah.
And then I watched a 3-story arc the other day where Boba Fett was trying to kill Mace Windu. Boba Fett's a kid.
Yeah.
Still a kid. It's shortly after Attack of the Clones. Obviously, this is the Clone Wars. But he's a kid and he comes into the, wherever they're at, some space station, and he's trying to kill Mace Windu. And that was interesting.
Well, I'll just say I think you'll have about the same reaction to the season 7, the last few episodes, as everybody else. It's 3 kind of separate stories throughout the season, and the last 4 episodes are great. They are pretty much a movie. It takes us all the way up through Revenge of the Sith, and I'll leave it at that for now, but Filoni did an excellent job in giving fans what they want and giving fans what they didn't expect. So yes, more Star Wars came out. There's a new Disney gallery show on The Mandalorian that I didn't think was going to be much, and it turned out so far. We have 2 episodes out so far, and it's been wonderful. The first episode has all the directors.
I watched the first episode
with Jon Favreau, who produced the show and then was the showrunner. But you've got a lot of you've got Dave Filoni and Bryce Dallas Howard and Taika Waititi and all the directors that did each episode for that first season.
Deborah Chow, I think, and I don't know the other guy's name.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that it almost made it look like they were all there for every episode.
It really did. And that's what surprised me too, was it was very much a team effort, even though somebody wasn't directing this episode. There were some of the other directors there, and Favreau was there, and they're all.
Can you imagine the pressure to be trying to direct an episode, and these other people have directed the other episodes, and they have to be judging you the whole time.
Right.
You're really going to use that angle? All right, I guess.
But it's
it has to be like that. That's what it looked like.
But
I can't imagine being Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh.
No, I just mean she's a
newcomer
director here.
Yeah.
She's got all these seasoned directors around her watching her.
Yeah.
Man, that'd drive me freaking crazy.
But it was kind of genius, though, because their personalities, from what we saw, all seemed to kind of mesh together. They're all fans, and it made it look like they worked as a team. Now, to me, there's no question here that Filoni is... I don't know why Lucasfilm doesn't just name him,
Star Wars Lord of the Universe.
Right, head guy in charge there, and move Kathleen Kennedy back to wherever, she needs to be.
They will. The only thing I didn't like about that episode was I thought I was going to get a lot of making of, and instead I got 7 people sitting around a table.
Round table discussion.
Yeah, that's not what I thought that show was going to be.
Now in the episode 2, it was all about legacy, and it has some of that in it. Like, you could tell they took some footage from that they filmed with episode 1 and put it into episode 2. and it has other stuff in it and some other folks in it. And you get to see a little bit more about how they did things with The Mandalorian, but it talks a lot about how they did things in the original trilogy, the prequels and stuff too, and how they're all connected. But at the end,
don't spoil it.
At the end, Dave Filoni just kind of goes off on a rant. Not really not a rant. I
heard that Filoni really laid it down.
Yeah, Filoni really laid it down.
In Phantom Menace, you're watching these two Jedi in their prime fight this evil villain. Maul couldn't be more obviously the villain. He's designed to look evil, and he is evil, and he just expresses that from his face all the way out through the type of lightsaber he fights with. What's at stake is really how Anakin's going to turn out, because Qui-Gon is different than the rest of the Jedi, and you get that in the movie, and Qui-Gon is fighting because he knows he's the father that Anakin needs. Because Qui-Gon hasn't given up on the fact that Jedi are supposed to actually care and love, and that's not a bad thing. The rest of the Jedi are so detached, and they've become so political that they've really lost their way. And Yoda starts to see that in the second film. But Qui-Gon is ahead of them all, and that's why he's not part of the council. So he's fighting for Anakin, and that's why it's the duel of the fates. It's the fate of this child. And depending on how this fight goes, Anakin his life's gonna be dramatically different. So Qui-Gon loses, of course. So the father figure, because he knew what it meant to take this kid away from his mother when he had an attachment, and he's left with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trains Anakin at first out of a promise he makes to Qui-Gon, not because he cares about him. When they get Anakin, when they find him on Tatooine, he says, why do I feel like we've found another useless life form? He's comparing Anakin to Jar Jar.
Excuse me.
And he's saying, this is a waste of our time. Why are we doing this? Why do you see importance in these creatures like Jar Jar Binks and this 10-year-old boy? This is useless. So he's a brother to Anakin eventually, but he's not a father figure. That's a failing for Anakin. He doesn't have the family that he needs. He loses his mother in the next film. He fails on this promise that he made, mother, I will come back and save you. So he's left completely vulnerable. And Star Wars ultimately is about family. So that moment in that movie, which a lot of people I think diminish into just a cool lightsaber fight, but it's everything that the entire 3 films of the prequels hangs on, is that one particular fight.
And he gives this amazing like TED talk as all the rest of them are sitting around him, and he is just, I mean, he is educating them on Star Wars and
schooling them.
He really did, and what George was doing and what George thought. And he makes Lucas look like a genius.
The best moment of the first episode is, related to that, is that it's just a blip because Filoni's talking about him and all that, and there's just a blip of they're making the show and George is sitting there, and
yeah,
he just kind of he leaned over talking to somebody, and just that respect is so nice. To see. You see it like you've got, like you say, Filoni's going to be the man.
Yeah. And
just to know that he has such reverence for George. And, George isn't going to get to come in there and dictate anything. But he sure as should get to sit there.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the end of this episode, Filoni, I mean, I watched it. And I'm just sitting there like in awe of Dave Filoni. And listening to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I never put that together. And he's talking about this is what George was doing. And then after he was finally done, because after he's finished, they're all kind of sitting there in awe of him too. All these creators and directors of the series that everybody loves. And they're like, oh my gosh. And then I thought, does he really, is like he that in tune with George Lucas, or is he just really this good and he's trying to make George look greater than he already is seen?
Some of it.
Yeah.
I think that I think he has a lot of ideas and interpretations, and he does transfer give a lot of credit to George, maybe that George didn't even think that deep about some things, but that's fine.
But yeah, gosh.
Yeah, he probably deserves whatever power they could give him for having the best track record since George for this stuff. Like the way The Mandalorian has just been universally loved, the way the cartoons were beloved by fans. Like there hasn't been a lot of no one's batting 1,000 at Star Wars with any of the movies or anything for a long time.
Yeah, he and Favreau are a great pair.
Yeah.
There's definitely I'm interested to see the future with them. Yeah, I want to check that episode out this weekend.
Well, breaking news. As for the moment we record this, Boba Fett has been confirmed for season 2.
Yes.
Gosh.
And he's going to be
Tamira Morrison, the
right.
actor.
He
played Django in the prequel.
Yeah.
And he was Aquaman's dad in the Aquaman movie, so he's a familiar face. He's coming back. It said he's not going to be a major part, but Boba Fett will be in the second season.
Insert Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man gif.
Right. Well, I'm also curious too, since they announced this, because we have also confirmation from a few weeks ago that Rosario Dawson is playing Ahsoka Tano from the Clone Wars in season 2 of Mando, and I have seen concept art for season 2. I think it was tagged from Dave Filoni, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's Ahsoka and Captain Rex. So I'm wondering if this actor is going to continue on, since he's going to do
and play Captain Rex. That would be trick. that would be freaking cool. If he comes back and plays Boba Fett, and Captain Rex,
I'm on board.
Wow.
Work your magic, Dave.
He should play like a whole freaking squad.
He should. It'll just like in the Clone Wars. They used his face in the cartoon.
Again, the Clone Wars hat. That seems to confirm, if you remember the episode with Ming-Na.
Those are going to be Baby Yoda's first words. Again, the Clone Wars.
But the episode, Ming-Na Wen was the bounty hunter that they were hunting, and a shadowy figure shows up at the end, and it sounded like he had spurs on his boots. And everyone said, is that possibly Boba Fett? And it sounds like it was. It was on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get the first appearance post-Jedi of, how'd he get out of that Sarlacc pit? We're gonna find out, I guess.
Yeah. Star Wars just keeps getting better and better.
There's going to be a lot of haters.
So a lot of Star Wars on Disney Plus. Clone Wars, Siege of Mandalore, there at the end was great. Watch The Rise of Skywalker if you're able to watch that, and then start getting excited about The Mandalorian season 2, because it sounds
coming
like it's
in
going to be
October.
great. And I saw Rich Rodriguez is going to direct some of the episodes on season 2.
Robert Rodriguez, yes.
Robert, what did I say? Rich Rodriguez. He was a football coach. Robert.
All right, clones, get in there. We're going to take it to him.
So they're going to continue on with more big names for that. So, and Taika Waititi's going to do a movie too. So,
supposedly,
yeah. As of
let's keep announcing people that are going to do Star. So are the guys from Game of Thrones. So's Ryan Johnson. I am. Jordan's doing one.
That's right. Jesse, get out there and make your Star Wars movie.
Jesse's halfway done with his. It's got a lot of singing,
yes,
and dancing, guitar, mopping, and rakes and things. But it's mostly done.
Yeah,
no cussing.
No overdub over that. So yeah,
Weird Al was right all along. They'll be making these movies till the end of time.
Yes, I love that song.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I saw Prop Culture. I only watched the first episode, but I cried.
Yeah, Mary Poppins. That was the best episode. Mary Poppins.
I was caught off guard. I cried before they did. I was like, when they opened the first crate with the first crappy horse in it.
Yeah,
I was just like, why can't I see what's happening? I was just like, I don't even know what about it caught me. Mm-hmm. It's just like, I don't know. And I guess I was just like really absorbed in it and thinking like, can you imagine being standing there and they're opening that crate? Just like, wow. And then I was like, why is nobody else crying? And then, they open the other one and Aaron Andrews starts crying. I was like, well, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Just seeing the face on that one, I think that looked like Dick Van Dyke, and I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, the Mary Poppins episode was definitely the best of the series, but I've watched the Tron episode, which was good. The Honey I Shrunk the Kids episode, which I really enjoyed that. They had the shrinking ray gun and everything they restored. They're actually restoring some of these props that don't work anymore or have been changed or missing parts.
It did work.
Well, of course it did. How else did those kids get shrunk down to the size of an ant? I don't know.
That's why I made any more movies.
No, like the Tron episode back in the Disney archives, they have the actual original neon sign for Flynn's Arcade. They had that in a crate, but it did not fully work anymore. So they brought an expert in to restore it, and at the end, they light that sucker up, and I was like, it's pretty cool. And then I watched the last episode on there right now is the original Muppet movie from 1979.
Yeah, I want to watch that one.
So that
I probably won't watch them all, but I'll watch that one.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna watch them all. There's a few on there I skipped already. So
what?
I'm not a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan. And there was another one. Anyways, great show. Highly enjoying that. Also, I'll throw in another great show since we're in Ohio. If you go on Disney Plus over to the Nat Geo section, scroll down to a little series called Secrets of the Zoo.
Everything we do is to better their lives here.
I love you. Yes, I do.
I have a flamingo daughter named Haleakala, and she likes to greet me every time I go into the flamingo yard.
Hi, baby boo. I want a hug. Oh, my goodness. You look crazy.
She, in particular, will charge on over. She runs right into me and then does a happy dance.
Yeah. I love you.
The day-to-day life is crazy. No 2 days are ever going to be the same.
Anybody get hurt?
If this is what 15 years of school gets me, I think I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. Teamwork. That's the biggest thing. That's what makes this entire zoo run is teamwork.
I'm Jungle Jack Hanna. We got animals. We got keepers.
She did great.
And a whole lot of poo. Welcome to Zoo Life, only on Nat Geo Wild.
Secrets of the Zoo is all about the Columbus Zoo in Columbus, Ohio, and the Wilds, which is over in Zanesville, Ohio. So that's pretty local for us. But a lot of episodes on that. My kids are actually watching it.
That near the Zanesville Animal Sanctuary?
I don't know how close it was to the Zanesville Animal Sanctuary, but yeah.
Is that where Joe Exotic was?
Yeah.
That's where Seth Exotic was in one Halloween.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good show on Disney Plus, and I think that's all I have for them.
If we're talking Disney Plus, I want to throw in, and there are no rules anymore because society's broken down.
Yeah.
Our review of Onward. I had a couple things I forgot to mention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pixar film.
It was. Good call. Can't believe we forgot that.
Yeah, we did a review of it. We were generally positive about it. I think it came off when I re-listened to it. I felt like we were a little more negative than my overall opinion really was. Like it was good.
Yeah.
But as we are wont to do, we kind of highlighted what we didn't like more than we did what we did like. But I forgot to mention the song at the end. I did not realize Brandy Carlisle had a song for it. So I thought that was a cool thing. I'm a kind of recent convert to her. I really like her music. And it's pretty much a guaranteed Oscar nomination, any Pixar song.
Yeah.
So I'm like, as soon as that pops up, I'm like, whoa, Brandy Carlisle is going to get nominated for an Oscar. I thought that was cool. And the second thing I forgot, I wanted to ask Cliff what kind of reaction to this was the character that Lena Waithe played, she was in this season of Westworld. She was in Master of None. She is the lesbian African American woman,
Who
and
did
she
she
played
play?
she played the police woman when they pulled over the car, and she
Oh.
made some kind of comment about her wife at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took a second, like, oh wait, what? That was so like
I didn't
another,
realize it.
you know, another. See, you didn't. It happened so fast. It was not a plot point or anything.
Right.
Disney has been raked over the coals before for adding in gay characters, you know, Gaston or whoever kissing somebody or whatever. That like huge controversies. And this, there was I don't remember hearing anything about.
Yeah, I don't even think I noticed it in the movie.
I remember I noticed it, but yeah, I don't remember seeing any backlash over it. That may be
isn't that kind of weird?
It is weird. It may be because partly the film wasn't in theaters very long.
True.
And that's tends to be when there's an uproar over stuff is when it's brand new and first comes out. But yeah.
And she was a mythical creature of some sort, so it wasn't like, you know, two human females. That would be be wrong.
Right. But yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about, people are gonna have a problem with this. So.
Yeah, it happened. So it was very subtle and it happened very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I wondered. I thought, I'm sure had to be some outrage there, but I just hadn't heard any mention of it, so I was curious.
Yeah, I think we Disney'd it.
Okay. Well,
I want to welcome everyone. Community, the sitcom is now streaming on Netflix, so I just wanted to welcome all the new fans to Community.
Nick just watched the whole series.
Really good.
And he didn't like it, but he watched it all.
What is he watching the whole series?
He's like, well, everything else to do, so I watched it all. He's like, he's so funny because he's like, I don't like they got rid of Chevy Chase. He really liked Chevy Chase's character.
Who doesn't?
And, huh?
Well, I just meant Chevy Chase. Who doesn't like Chevy Chase?
Right. Well, then
anyone who's ever worked with him.
Right. So he's like, I don't understand. He's like, they brought in all these new people. I don't like any of them. And he's like, they got rid of Chevy Chase. I was like, well, you need to Google why they got rid of Chevy Chase. He's like, okay. He's like, well, I understand why, but I'm not going to say that the show was better for him not being on.
Well, that's another part of watching it streaming just all the way through. This took 6 years to get to that point. But yeah, that Chevy Chase left early. Donald Glover left before the end. The last season was on that weird Yahoo streaming platform where they brought in a bunch of new cast members. It was just weird and didn't really fit. There was a season that Dan Harmon was not involved in that everyone kind of agrees wasn't that good. So there were ups and downs, but when that show was firing, it was one of the best of all time. And I'm trying really hard not to say, where were all you people when this show was on and struggling for ratings? And every year we didn't know whether it was going to be renewed or not. So I don't want to say, yeah, better late than never, but I'm glad to have you aboard.
It is pretty crazy to think, though, that The Office, Community, and Parks and Rec were all on NBC, the same time together.
And 30 Rock.
I have tried watching Community a couple different times. And I watched a little episode here or there with Nick watching it. It's just like, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know. There's just some stuff I'm sure it has good points and bad points, and you pays off to watch it all. But I'm just like, I don't like Joel McHale. That
was my problem with the show too. I don't like Joel McHale, and so I just never got into it.
I love Alison Brie and Gillian Jacobs, but it's just like the cadence to some of the talking, the humor. I don't know.
Seth needs to watch the episode about D&D.
I watched it. I specifically watched D&D and Modern Warfare or Paintball or whatever they were doing. And I knew there's another D&D one.
And Cliff needs to watch, they did an animated one in the style of G.I. Joe. All right, what else is streaming?
So there was some breaking Community news, right?
Yeah, they're going to do... They're doing a Zoom episode like we're doing right now.
Really?
With everybody except except Chevy Chase.
Well, that sounds about right.
But even Donald Glover is going to be there.
Sweet.
Did you guys see the Parks and Rec thing?
Yeah, that was nice. I can't say it was a great episode or the best episode, but it was nice that they did it, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was nice and fine, but I'm so sick of hearing such great reviews about it. Like, this was just what I needed. This is the greatest thing. It was so good. Whatever. The whole time I was cringing because it is what every one of these things is right now. It's like, oh, it's Zoom. Oh, look, you're not there. Here's why you're not in the room with me.
Yeah.
Oh, here's somebody's got their silly filters on. I'm like, just kill me.
It was not groundbreaking by any stretch, but that final sing along.
That was the only thing.
It got me in the heart.
That was it. I sang along with Lil Sebastian.
Yeah, I did not watch that simply because I forgot. But I did watch a few when this first started happening, and everything was shut down. I know you guys don't watch Doctor Who, but there was I don't call it an episode, but it was called Goodbye Sarah Jane. And Sarah Jane is kind of the most celebrated companion to Doctor Who. She started with the 4th Doctor. Tom
already
Baker
established that we do not.
Yeah, you guys don't know. But anyways, the actress, she had a spin-off series a few years ago called The Sarah Jane Adventures. And she had, where she was the main character, she had K9 the robot dog from the series years ago. And it had some young kids on the show. Well, the actress passed away several years ago, I think from cancer. But it was, by the time she knew she had it, it was too late, and she passed away shortly after that. So it was a very of the sudden thing. And anyways, they put out, they had the grown-up kids from that series, as well as some of the other companions from the original Doctor Who series, and it was all narrated, and they made kind of an episode out of it. But it was really good and kind of touching, and I forgot to mention it several weeks ago, but you guys just reminded me of that. You can check it out on YouTube. It's just called Goodbye Sarah Jane. And it's a sweet little thing. But it was, you could tell it was done in their apartments or wherever they were, lived, and put together, but it was kind of cool.
Well, that's what I've wondered. How soon production gets back? How are we going to have a fall TV season or a summer blockbuster season, or are Hollywood productions going to flock to places that have opened back up? Like South Korea, is that going to become a hub for filming stuff just because, or like New Zealand, has basically taken care of the virus? So I can't foresee what the next year even looks like in.
Are we going to have like when there was a writer's strike and suddenly we're going to have a bunch of reality shows?
Yeah, that could be. And I don't know. I was thinking of this today too, of like, how do you not address this on shows? Like, how do the detectives on NCIS not wear masks while they're detecting stuff? Like, do you just stay in a fictional world and pretend? Like, do we want escapism from it? We don't want to think about it. We want to watch fake stuff on TV, or I don't
know. Like I've already said, it bugs me to watch and see them without this and like being in each other's faces and everybody's around each other. But I don't know that I want to watch everybody doing this and how crazy that. I hope that that would look crazy in the future if you watched episodes from this time period.
Yeah.
This is unprecedented. I don't like it.
Like, what does a rom-com look like?
It's going to be one of 100 million rom-coms where, we've got masks on, we're trying to kiss. Oh boy, this is silly.
We had on Zoom. We had a meet cute on Zoom, and then
just kill me. I don't want to watch any of that shit. This is going to suck.
But But you can't really do the big budget movies that require hundreds and hundreds of cast members and crew members. But like I said, reality TV, small budget, like that seems to be the only thing that you could start producing again.
All I hope is they can figure out how to do some more Survivor.
Well, they test them and they're good to go, and they put them on an island and don't worry about it.
God forbid they do it in just go do it in somebody's backyard.
That should be the new show. Though. That's the real. No, that's the real Survivor. They take them off the island.
Yeah, just do it in Jeff Probst's backyard. I bet he's got a big ass backyard.
We up the ante.
Just go out there and do tribal council. Whatever.
Oh.
All right. Well, I got a little bit of streaming
from
the DC Universe app that I purchased legally.
Sure.
Ring comics on there.
Sure. I haven't tried yet. I don't know. It's weird.
You're afraid you'll get turned?
And it's also someone else's account, so I'm afraid if I click on a book, it'll like start recommending them. So I'm trying to have as light of a footprint as I can on someone else's account. But Harley Quinn, I checked out the first season of that. Season 2 has just started recently. So season 1, 13 episodes. And people really seem to love it. Very universally acclaimed. Cliff, did you check out any of that?
Not of season 2, no.
Have you watched? Have you been kicked off your account?
Yeah.
But you've seen it. You've seen some of it.
Yeah.
The Schwann service has really went down.
It really has.
I saw that the Schwann's guy came to your house yesterday.
I was at my store.
Right.
And he showed up at, I guess, like 2:00 in the afternoon. And I got home and, they were like, oh, Schwann's was here. And I was like, why was he here this early? Because Michael always came at like 8:00 at night. And so I messaged Michael and I was like, what? I was like, something's fishy here. These guys are showing up in the afternoon. And you always came at night because you said you had to be out so long. So I'm wondering if they were all playing a huge joke on him and he was the only one out there at like 10:00 at night.
Yeah.
That seems the most logical answer.
Yeah.
Possible he was running at a different pace. Medium pace.
So have you watched Doom Patrol yet, Jordan?
No.
He wants to talk about Harley Quinn and how much he hates it. And you're stupid for having watched it.
No, I'm curious if, I didn't know if this was a Cliff show or not.
Yeah, it's fine. There are things I like about it, but it wasn't something like I had to watch. I watched several episodes and it was fine. I liked it. But it wasn't all that. Like when I was watching Doom Patrol on DC Universe, that was a show I was like, I cannot wait.
We're talking about Doom Patrol.
I really miscalculated it.
I'm just going to shove it in there. But that was a show that I really looked forward to.
People.
Every week I was like, I need more Doom Patrol.
But yeah, I'm just of a similar opinion where like I think the show's good. I think it's very well made, but it's not for me. It's not my show. It's not something I'm really enjoying. It's fairly funny. It's a very good cast. Kaylee Cuoco is Harley. It has Lake Bell as Poison Ivy. And a lot of great comedians. Alan Tudyk, Ron Funches, J.B. Smoove. Jason Alexander is on it from Seinfeld.
Who's he?
He is Cy Borgman, the elderly cyborg who rides around on a rascal scooter.
Cy Borgman.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Mud shaking. We pulling a caper?
Cy, after today, you're in the crew, even if it's just you and me.
Hi-ya! I still have my license to kill.
That's your AARP card.
Oh.
And there's good stuff about it. Like it doesn't take itself seriously. It kind of makes fun of superheroes and cliches and the conventions of comic book world. But it takes a lot of easy pot shots too of like, some of the jokes are right there obvious, or the way it allows us, the R rating, they just let that be the joke, like a funny curse word or I can't believe that character said that offensive thing.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
That was the limit of the humor.
We live in a society.
Right. But it was really good. I like her as a protagonist, especially like the female friendship between her and Poison Ivy. It's really good. Like, there's not a lot of good, strong female friendships, especially in a superhero cartoon that you're gonna see.
Yeah.
So like them, like they have each other's back and they're rooting for each other, but they also will argue about stuff. Where Harley's a little more fly off the handle than Poison Ivy.
Well, I think a lot of people are watching this in anticipation of when are these two characters going to get together, because that was one of our favorite things a few years ago. Well, I mean, currently too, but yeah. Speaking of Harley, I did finally rent Birds of Prey and the what was it, the Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, is that correct? Something like that.
It used to be. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But we rented that
Harley Quinn, Birds of Harley, the Emancipation of Harley.
Yeah.
Cool.
That one. But it was, you guys had seen it in the theater and I didn't go, but it was a lot of fun. I really liked Margot Robbie in that movie, and yeah, it was good.
As one of the 4 movies released this year, it's still in my top.
It's pretty high.
It's gonna it's getting nominated for Best Picture.
And I also got through the only season of Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
10 episodes.
I hear that's the best season.
It's pretty strong as seasons go. There's not a ton of big name actors in it. Abby Arcane is kind of the star. Crystal Reed, I'd never seen her in anything before. Virginia Madsen, Will Patton, Jennifer Beals, Ian Ziering is Blue Devil.
That's interesting.
Macon Blair was in it as Phantom Stranger, which I did not expect. That was a little weird. And a cameo from Adrienne Barbeau, star of the original Swamp Thing movie from Wes Craven. She was in an episode. I liked it well enough. I'm a big Swamp Thing fan. It was fairly accurate to the comics and the origin and all that stuff, but just there wasn't enough Swamp Thing in it for me. In a show called Swamp Thing, I want to follow Swamp Thing, and he has a big supporting cast. But it's almost, if this is going to run for 10 seasons, you want that. But if it's just 10 episodes, there's too much. There's too much fat that needed to be trimmed.
Well, this was the only one that got canceled.
Yeah, and before it aired, right?
Yeah. Well, one episode did. One episode aired.
In, they said, we're not getting any more.
But they're going to ride Titans out, though.
So, yeah, the first episode, we get Alec Holland. He doesn't turn into Swamp Thing till the very end. And there's an episode toward the end where there's this hallucinogen that makes Abby see him as Alec again. So Swamp Thing's not really in that episode either. So out of 10 episodes called Swamp Thing's only in 8 of them. And he only shows up for part of each episode. So it's all about, there's something mysterious in the swamp. And it's like, I was like, just get to it. But yeah, for less than 10 hours of show, we had, Abby Arcane and Matt Cable, who would be, if you know anything about Swamp Thing, those would be the supporting characters you'd expect. And they have a lot of the Alan Moore stuff, like the Sunderland group, and Avery Sunderland is a villain, and this mysterious conclave of people trying to capture him and study him. They introduced the concept of the green and the mystical side of things. And if you know the comics, I won't spoil the show if you know the comic, but the anatomy lesson issue from Alan Moore that reveals his true nature, they get clear to that before it's over. They introduced the Jason Woodrue is in it, Blue Devil, Madame Xanadu, Phantom Stranger. Like, there's just a whole lot going on. And it was just too, again, I said, if it was going to go for years and years, it's cool to throw all that stuff in there and see what happens. And, this guy's having an affair with this person, and this person's got mommy issues with this, and, there's a secret. But it's like, knowing we had such limited time, all that stuff, I was bored with it and just wanted it to be done with. But I did like The Phantom Stranger. It was weird. Macon Blair, the director of some good movies here, Blue Ruin and Green Room, and I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. He just showed up. He had like a big beard and a Carhartt coat, and he was drinking a beer. I'm like, who is he supposed to be? And I realized he's Phantom Stranger. I thought that's weird, but by the end of it, they had him in the coat and the hat with the gloves on, so he looked pretty good as just a chubby, short chubby guy. Not the standard superhero fare, but they had him sort of playing the role that John Constantine should have played, as like the guide kind of explaining what's going on. So I'm sure they couldn't use Constantine, so they needed some other mystical figure to do it, and they added him. But I don't know. I enjoyed what there was of it, but it was a little much. I don't know that it was somewhere in between, like the CW show. It was better than one of the CW shows, but it wasn't quite to that prestige that I was hoping for. And the very end, there was a list of thank you credits for all the comic creators and writers and artists, and Alan Moore was not thanked on there, even though 80% of the show was based on what Alan Moore created. So I don't know if that's just the policy, just don't bring his name into anything. So yeah, as officially, they're not going to call it Alan Moore Swamp Thing or anything, but just as a thanks, you think they would add his name to it.
That was weird.
So that was a weird oversight to end things on, but oh well.
I have never read Swamp Thing. I think I had an issue when I was a kid, and it was like, I mean, if there was one thing you wanted to bore me with in a stack of comics, it was a DC comic. Number one. But number two, it was a Swamp Thing comic. Like, oh my gosh, even more boring.
Yes, they're of their time. They're very poetic and like very wordy. And I'm
sure I was just too young. I'm sure they would be appreciated as you age.
Did you watch the movies?
No.
No? That's what I remember. I remember watching those movies a lot. I think they ran on HBO a lot when I was a kid. You guys got anything on Netflix?
No, I watched something on Prime.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I did watch something on Netflix. I watched that Seinfeld.
Yeah, that new special.
Yeah, have you watched it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, don't bother.
Okay. I saw he was saying riding in cars with whatever Jerry Seinfeld is probably done.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
I like that show.
Yeah,
I like that show. Talking to comedians, that's always interesting.
Yeah.
Hearing how comedians think and create. And
interact with each other.
Their inner circle banter, that's all good. But his comedy special is 23 Hours to Kill, and it's just feels very dated. It's very, he's more animated than he used to be. He used to just, we all know how he did. You see it at the beginning of every Seinfeld episode, but he just kind of stands there and, looks exactly like this and just, makes very sarcastic remarks, kind of like this. And, then he, but this thing, he's like trying to be animated and do this stuff because he's trying to, I'm sure it has a lot to do with entertaining a 3,000 person crowd or whatever there was in there, wherever he was. I'm not sure where it was, Radio City Music Hall or where the hell it was recorded, but anyway, it was just felt very dated. Trying to do modern material, like, talking about. It's still 5 years ago. It's all about cell phones. Everybody's on their phone and things like that. Like, duh. Wasn't good. I laughed 2 times.
Yeah, the richer you get, the more divorced you are from reality. Like as an observational comedian.
Exactly that.
People
the whole time I watched it. The whole time I watched it, I thought about how in touch he thinks he is and how much he is not. It came across super clear. He thinks he is totally in touch with everything, And I mean, he makes comments like, "I know my life's way easier, yeah, but things still suck for everybody." And obviously, yeah, but you can tell he thinks he knows he is just totally the everyman, and he does not get that he is not. But on Prime, I watched Upload. Did anybody watch Upload? You heard of Upload? It's like their new big show with one. Now, is this kid? Is he like? I assume he's related to Green Arrow. Robbie Amell.
Yeah. That he was actually on the Flash for a while. But they are cousins.
Oh, okay. I get you. Yeah, this is a show about. I'm sure it's just a little ways into the future, and supposedly you can choose if you sign up for this service before you die. You can choose to go into this digital afterlife type thing. You know, you've seen different versions of this, and translated.
Oh, like they upload your brain
consciousness, and you live on, in this other world, and you have servers and people taking care of you. You have people maintaining it in the normal world, and he kind of gets in a relationship with this girl that's still alive, while he's married to this girl that's still alive. It's this whole thing. I think in the first episode he dies in a self-driving car, and you're trying to decide whether it's murder or not. And anyway, I didn't like the first episode, but somebody commented that the rest of the series was good. So I watched the entire season, and it was pretty enjoyable. Wasn't great, but it was enjoyable. It had a lot of clever moments, great, neat ideas as far as that goes. People like in this Upload, everything's perfect, so they're having to go off and get like snuff type things to be able to like smell something bad, or things like that. They're just, everything's too perfect. And I liked it all till the last episode was too busy setting up next season that it didn't do anything interesting. I did like the second lead. I want to find her name here. It's Andy Alla. This girl, she was in Dear White People, I think, on Netflix. I had not seen. Chicago Fire, Pitch Perfect 3. I didn't recognize her from any of those things, but she was very good in it, and he was fine in it. It is totally fine.
Totally
so
fine.
You can live without it.
We watched a movie on Netflix called Dumplin'. Do you guys know about?
Is that the one with the girl from? Is that got the girl from that rap movie I like?
Patty Cakes?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see that. It's got Jennifer Aniston and the girl.
Yeah.
The girl's name is.
It's got the girl from Patty Cakes.
Danielle McDonald.
I don't know. Patty Cakes. PB&J.
Okay. Well, in this movie, she plays Willa Dean Dixon, and her mother is played by Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston is a teenage beauty queen from back in the day.
Me, breaking news. I can confirm Danielle McDonald is Patty Cakes.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Well, now she's Dumpling.
That's like a movie from like 2 years ago.
Is it really? I had no idea. But we watched it.
Breaking news.
It was good. We enjoyed it.
It was good.
It was good. She plays she's a larger girl, and of course her mom is Jennifer Aniston, and while her mom was off doing beauty pageant things growing up, her aunt, who was also a bigger girl, raised her up on Dolly Parton. And as a way to defy her mother after her aunt passes away, she signs up for the Miss Teen Blue Bonnet pageant that her mom won all those years ago. Her and her awkward friends sign up as we're not going to participate, but they end up participating and getting help from a bunch of drag queens that knew her aunt, and they show them how to pageant it up, and it was cute. It was a fun movie. Dolly Parton soundtrack, which I enjoyed way more than I should have. My wife enjoyed it a lot, and my daughter had already seen it, probably because it was 2 years old. So we watched that. And then also on Netflix, right before this movie, last weekend, I binged a series called Afterlife.
If you're watching this, then I'm not around anymore. But don't spiral, don't obsess. Keep going.
So how are you? A good day is when I don't go around wanting to shoot random strangers in the face and then turn the gun on myself. Bad then.
I thought I'd leave you a little guide to life without me. You're lovely, but you're absolutely useless. Stay active. It's not ideal to be a fat, lazy, self-pitying lump.
Pedo!
What?
Pedo!
I'm not a pedo. And if I was, you'd be safe, you tubby little ginger.
You know how grumpy you get when things don't go your way? You've got such a good heart. You're born like it. You're just decent.
This is Sandy. If you could show her the ropes, tell her what's what. Humanity is a plague. We're a disgusting, selfish parasite, and the world would be a better place without us. Is that the sort of thing you meant? No.
How's Lisa?
Oh, Jesus, she's dead, Dad.
Bring Lisa with you.
You can't just go around being rude to people. You can, though.
The dog should be on a lead.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. Thank you. What? He is not a fat, hairy, nosy Sorry about that.
Disgusting.
If I do and say what the I want, and then when it all gets too much, I can always kill myself. It's like a superpower. That's the worst superhero I've ever heard of.
With Ricky Gervais. Have either of you heard about this show?
Oh, I absolutely know about it. He's just kind of a jackass.
He is, and I did not have very high expectations for it, but I was just stumbling through Netflix and it said Afterlife season 2, and I was like, well, I'll sit on it in a minute, and because I'm looking for something to watch and see what the trailer, the preview that runs, how it looked, and I was like, man, this looks pretty good. So I gave it a shot, and from the first episode, I was just wrecked. It's about a guy who has Ricky Gervais plays Tony. He is a guy that thinks he has the perfect life. He is as happy as he could ever be. He loves life, and his wife gets cancer and dies. And while she has cancer, she's making these videos for him. And it's very sweet and emotional and through every episode. But after she dies, he decides he's just miserable. He's depressed, and he's just going to do and say whatever he wants to whoever he wants. And
what? Now, that is so Ricky Gervais.
Uh-huh.
That's why he's a jackass.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make a show so I can have an excuse to say whatever the heck I want to say because I'm Ricky Gervais.
Right. And
Like,
I'm not.
This one, he's not quite playing himself. That it is pretty heartfelt. He's more of a low key guy, and he's not that outspoken.
No, he's not running around. He's not running around doing it just to do it. Yeah. Everything's a reaction to the people around him in his life. And he just doesn't give a crap anymore. And he immediately contemplates suicide over and over. And he's talking about killing himself over and over and over again. And I mean, it's just utterly depressing. And he's, it's hard for the people in his life to deal with that. But it grabs you and you're just in for the ride. Every episode is has a formula. It's written I know he wrote it, but it's written very well. And the fact that it's got some good British dry humor in there, and the way he talks.
Oh, I'm not saying the guy's not talented, and
No.
I'm sure the show's good. He just irritates me in real life because he just thinks he considers himself above all of that.
Yeah,
and he makes fun of all these people that are at his level.
Like even with
listen to yourself.
The
You
original,
are the same.
The original Office that everybody loves. I'm not really a fan of it because
I've seen him in things. I like his humor. I think he's funny. But he had a couple movies. The one about lying, Inventional Lying.
The Inventional Lying.
Then the one where about somebody's dead. Is he dead? Is there a ghost or something?
Yeah.
The Invention of Dying.
Yes. The Invention of Lying, Invention of Dying.
Yeah. It's a sequel. No, it's
great.
it's got a real sweetness to it. He kind of befriends a prostitute. I'm
listening.
Yeah. And just to have somebody kind of around now and again, and she's a generally nice, very nice person. But during this whole thing, his elderly father, who was played by David Bradley from like Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, great actor. He was in some Doctor Who stuff, and his father is in a nursing home with dementia or something of that sort, and he cares about his dad, but he's not always quite there, and he meets one of the workers at the nursing home that takes care of his dad, and they kind of have this back and forth relationship where it's not like really a love interest anywhere at first. It's just them going back and forth, and it's
good show. It's
a really good show.
I'm busy trying to watch other shows. You've told me I gotta watch Clone Wars. I gotta watch Rebels. I gotta watch Schitt's Creek. I'm trying to watch all of it.
But this thing really, this is one of the best things. This was the best thing I watched in the last couple weeks.
And it's a big hit for Netflix. I've seen. It's one of his more popular things, and he just kind of hinted. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but should be a season 3 of it, and it'll be the first thing he's ever made a third season of.
Yeah.
So The Office, Extras, Derek, all those shows he's made only went 2 seasons. So for some reason he thinks he has more to say with this one, and thinks there's still
in honesty, I don't honestly know that there is a lot more to say with it. I don't know what else he could go with it that he hasn't in these 2 seasons. But he's a writer for a newspaper, a local little piddly dunk newspaper, and he has a photographer friend that he works with, and they go on these crazy people that think they have a feature story, but they just want to be in the local paper. So it's always some outlandish made up thing, and of course him being who he is, he's just kind of, it's always, this is ridiculous. You really think this is worth a story, that type of thing. But
he was on a talk show this week, and he said people constantly ask him where he finds all the weirdos that he casts, because all his shows usually have some oddball characters.
Yeah.
He's like these are actual people. Like these, like most people in the world don't look like movie stars or don't act like TV characters. Like he's trying to be more realistic and have actual like normal weirdo people.
I actually noticed that a lot during the season or the show.
He just goes into people's garages. Sees who's in there.
There aren't really any good-looking people in the show, though. Like at one point, I was
I
watching
see a light flickering in there. But there's somebody interesting in there.
But I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, can't they find better-looking actors to to be in this?" But man, I tell you, it's just a great show. I was really surprised. It was just one of those things I ran into, and man, I really was glad that I took the time to watch it this week. So it's Afterlife, 2 seasons, Netflix, Ricky Gervais, It's got a bunch of names you won't know in it. Diane Morgan, Paul Kaye, Tom Way. I could go on and on, but yeah,
Cool.
I would encourage you to. I think both of you would highly enjoy it, even if you don't like Ricky Gervais like me.
I was going to say, I think I mentioned Mrs. America before. Do either of you have Hulu?
Yeah,
you said Alicia was going to watch it or something.
No, we watched the first 2 episodes, I do believe.
Yeah, I think they've had
it's on regular FX as well.
Yeah,
I don't think it is. Is it?
I think it's one of those FX on Hulu.
They've got some deal, and it's worked out where they've put their shows on Hulu.
It's on every commercial break on FX. I assumed it was on FX.
No, I think a lot of some of these shows are exclusively on Hulu. They've got this deal with that FX, and they get a ton more views on Hulu.
Yeah, it has made FX shows from the past kind of pop up again in popularity for sure.
Anyway, it's good. Got Kate Blanchett as that Phyllis Schlafly. If you guys, I did not know a lot about the history. I think I said this last time about the ERA, but it's a very good show, and it's an interesting perspective because a lot of things are from the other perspective of women's lib and things like that in these shows, and this is more the perspective of her, the more Republican side and the quashing of women's lib and trying to stop the Equal Rights Amendment. And as so many, because it was put up in the early 70s, I think 72, and then you had to have so many states ratify it over the next so many years. You had to have a certain percentage, I forget, like 30 some states were going to have to ratify it. And I don't know historically if you know this, but the Equal Rights Amendment never passed.
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, there is no Equal Rights Amendment.
So wait, I don't have to treat women equally?
Right.
I'm not legally obliged?
Here I am like a sucker.
Right. Out the garage. I got news for you. You wish. Anyway, that's pretty jarring historically to people. I think they assume that is a past thing, and it is not. So it's a very interesting show, and
it's got a good cast.
Do they touch on Alex P. Keaton going to jail to impress a feminist?
Yeah. Well, there's just one scene where he jumps up on the counter with his hands in his pockets.
One of the best episodes of Family Ties where he pretends to be a feminist because he wants to impress this girl and goes to a CRA rally and roots. Right.
Oh, but it's got a great cast. It's got Kate Blanchett, Rose Byrne as Gloria Steinem, Elizabeth Banks, Melanie Linsky, Margot Martindale, John Slattery, Jean Triplehorn, Tracy Ullman, Sarah Paulson. Sorry, tons of great women.
The guy from Westworld that played Cyclops in the X-Men movies.
Oh, okay.
What's his name? James
Marsden.
Marsden, yeah.
James Marsden is in it. Yeah. Anyway, it's a good show.
Yeah,
they're all pretty good actors for women.
Yeah, you don't have to tell them that. It's not.
That's why they're on FX and not on the major networks like NBC.
Are we trying to finish
CBS.
this up in this episode?
Sure.
Okay, the last thing I was going to say. Bad Education came out on HBO. It's a Hugh Jackman, Allison Janney movie, true story.
Mm-hmm.
One of those movies where he plays a school administrator of some superintendent, I think. And it's all about this big scam, money scam, and it's excellent.
Yeah.
One of the best movies of this thin year. But he's great in it. Allison Janney is great. If you have access to that, absolutely watch it. It has the girl from Miracle Workers. I can't think of her name in this amount of time, but she plays like the school journalist or whatever, and it has the kid from Hereditary and the lead from that. But just totally worth watching. Totally worth watching.
And Alicia was watching. She watched Waco, And that was really good too. I watched a bunch of it. So
everybody's flipping out about
Waco.
Waco because it's funny. All these people that are watching that and crying and posting about it. It's like they never heard of it before.
I know that's the way she was. She was watching. I'm like, you don't remember this?
Don't spoil the ending.
I know what's going to happen.
It wasn't as fun as you're making it out to be.
All right, we have less than 1 minute of Zoom left to say goodbye to you from Ka-Pow. Thank you for all this.
So watch Dave. If you haven't watched Dave, you gotta watch Dave.
Goodbye, forever.
The Dave finale was great.
It was great. He went to jail. Not really.
We'll be back with more soon. My name's Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
And my name's...
You're fooling them. That's not
Bye
true.
forever.
We have time. You can say your name.
No, I was mimicking the end of Dave.
Yeah.
Bye forever.
We're starting with TV or starting with streaming or...
Anecdotes.
You have an anecdote?
I mean, I got a little chit chat here.
Hey, did you guys watch the Disney Gallery Mandalorian show? Came out last week.
Yes.
Did you watch
There's Mandalorian news, so we should talk about Mandalorian.
Yeah, did you watch episode 2 that came out, I think, today? Man, I love that show. I mean, Filoni, he laid it down in episode 2.
He laid it down.
He was like preaching the gospel of Lucas himself. Like
save it for the podcast.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udownwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share.